Om Purnamada Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Shanti 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 Om. So, hi Karen.
I have a question to start, if you want.
Yes. Where are you? You disappeared.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay, stay with us, please.
I don't know, when I push the space bar down, it goes away. Interesting. A question that came to me on Monday was, if one is really truly satisfied or in moksha, if you will, or sitting in it with knowledge and have complete and total moksha when it comes to knowledge, then does Maya no longer exist? What happened? You know, if you get the point, can you sit in it? Is Maya gone? If you are, 100%, sitting in knowledge.
Roots is not here today, but I had some satsangs that I post in my Facebook page based on some answers I wrote to her. And that is the meaning of real, of total moksha, total self-actualization. If someone has a self-knowledge, and this self-knowledge is so impregnate, it's so through, in one's three bodies, and then the effects of Maya will persist. What is the effect of Maya? Is this superimposition of mithya, called mithya, names, name and forms, colors and forms. Okay, it takes me always a little bit to come back to the English when I keep talking Portuguese. So Maya, it produces an effect. The effect is the manifest universe, of names and forms. Okay.
Okay.
So a yani that is totally free from Maya is a yani that sees only Brahman through all names and forms. It means to say that one goes through, it navigates or interacts with the world, never losing for a moment this perspective of knowledge that says all is just Brahman, all is just Brahman. If we keep that knowledge all the time, we never get involved with Mithya as if Mithya was real. But we see the Mahatmas here and there that they, for a moment, they get excited with events in Mithya. And then they just, they come back and then they reestablish their pose, their position, and say, no, it's okay. This is all mithya, So how to make Maya disappear? Maya, it will not disappear literally or physically, right? Because the forms, all these objects that we see and experience, they are not going to disappear. But what disappears is the believing that superimposition of names and forms on consciousness. So can we make Maya disappear completely? Yes, but not literally, not physically, but we can have some Mahatmas in a condition that they are navigating through Mithya, but seeing that all is but Brahman, all is but Brahman. It's a state, which is a byproduct of self-knowledge, of constant remembrance in the intellect that say, wow, all is beautiful, all is Brahman, all is the Lord, appearing in this sub-order of reality called Jagat, Therefore, all is prasad, all is an illusion. So just imagine you keep that view all the time. This is what Shimaya used to call that moksha is freedom in spite of samsara. It's not freedom from samsara. It's not that samsara has to disappear. It's freedom in spite of samsara. Samsara remains, but you are free from samsara because this knowledge is so firm and is so clear and so true that everything you see, you never get much excited because you are holding that, understand that this is all consciousness and does not matter whatsoever play is being projected on the screen consciousness, whatsoever play, this is all Brahman. This is what we call 100% enlightenment or 100% self-actualization or 100% moksha. That's why I don't like to present moksha as something like black and white, because there are a lot of different grades, grades of colors between, black and white. So my take, I often say that it's very rare to find someone who is 100% enlightened, meaning to say 100% living without ever having a lapse of self-knowledge, in the way that I never really get involved, irritated, pissed off with something, because I'm all the time that, I have taken some moments like that I have to tell. These are the mind fluctuates whenever there is Rajas and Tamas play and we get involved with the world and event of the world. There are moments that one loses that perspective, but then you come back and you say, yes, okay, this is all projection, everything is just consciousness. And this is the play now being projected, So it is possible, David, to destroy Maya completely, but my take is that it is part of what I often call the journey of a spiritual elevation that begins in a certain way with self-recognition or self-knowledge, and then you have to leave from that platform of knowledge, understand, until it becomes full and complete. You only see that. And I had a period of time in Tiruvannamalai. The first time I went there, I think Mark was there as well. We were there with Ramji, and I was exposed to the ashram, to the mountain, and to the teachings of the 3 weeks with Ramji. And I was so much into it that I was seeing Brahman, I was seeing Ishwar in everything. It was such a sense of freedom, and beauty, and seeing everything so perfect, seeing the perfection, we've seen all the cruelties and miseries and problems and all kinds of things, and you just see the Lord, the perfection, so I believe that some souls may come to that level of spiritual elevation, as sometimes I like to put it. Spiritual elevation, you refine yourself, you refine until you leave from that platform of self-knowledge 24/7, if that is possible, So self-knowledge is to know who you are, and to become fully established in that self-knowledge is never to forget for a single moment, It's all the time, okay, I am consciousness and this is all me and this is just a superimposition of names and form. There is only gold here. There is only consciousness. So it's this is part of what I often call the purification of the mind post self-knowledge, It burns gradually old vasanas that somehow produce this overreaction sometimes when things are not really going your way, and then you forget. you think, oh, I'm free and this and that, and then there are some moments, and then some of those likes and dislikes or vasanas, you know, they show up, and then you have a strange reaction, you know. And then the difference is when you have self-knowledge, you just immediately you just get yourself together again, and then everything is calm and cool again. You know, that piece of ignorance may provoke a reaction, but then again you reestablish yourself from your self-knowledge, and then again you are good, you're okay, you're satisfied.
So, am I hearing it correctly then? It's okay to think about moksha as really being fluid, meaning it's you know it can change. Moksha is not it's not black or white, as you said. It can be fluid. So like water, is water. It can be steam or ice or or liquid.
I don't think this is a good analogy. Moksha,
No? Okay.
it has various degrees. Because what is moksha? Moksha is freedom. Freedom from what? It's freedom from the ignorance that makes us attached to our likes and dislikes, you know, to preference or whatever. So this fundamental ignorance, which is desires and fears, desires and aversions, what I want and what I don't want, those they need to be neutralized with self-knowledge, because self-knowledge is a knowledge that says like, no, I am consciousness, I am Brahman, I am existence, and I am already whole, full, and complete. Therefore, I don't need anything, I don't lack anything, I don't need to try to gain or avoid anything. So then I'm resolved, okay? But then there are some vasana that comes when circumstance somehow press you or pushes one's buttons or so. And then when you see, you have some ignorance operating your mind. You understand? You have some ignorance. And that makes sometimes people confused, okay? Because, oh, the guru now is behaving like that. Let me tell you an example. Many years ago, I was doing a seminar in São Paulo, in the inland, not in the state, not in São Paulo city. And then I was having conflict with my wife, and she was really pressing me, you know, pushing my button. And then there was almost nobody in the hall, in the satsang place. And I told her, you better shut up. I don't want to hear a single word from your mouth anymore, or you please stay outside. And I was really pissed off. So some people heard that, and they start talking. And the Sangha that was developing there was dissolved, you understand? Because they saw an overreaction coming from me in regards to Silvia that made them very confused. You know, I think what kind of enlightenment or self-knowledge is in here if this guy is angry with his wife, right? So one thing is self-knowledge, self-recognition, and that still gives room. It brings about great freedom, but it still gives room to moments, you know, that your freedom is challenged. Why? You are free from those ignorant vasanas that, you know, makes you react sometimes violently, or being negative emotions and thoughts running your mind. All those things, all of those are byproducts of self-ignorance. So some old vasanas still sit in there, they surface, and then the yani responds like that. Okay? So what is freedom? Freedom is freedom from ignorance. When we know who we are, but there is still some ignorance sitting in our causal body. You understand? There is still some there. Okay. So, and sometimes they surface, and then the yan is compelled to speak and do something that is not totally appropriate. You know, I have been doing those things several times, a few times, let's say, you know, including with myself, you know, that when he came and he apologized. So there is room for mistakes. Yeah, and even for famous Mahatma like Ramji, you know, because there is always some ignorance. So what is moksha? That's why I prefer to say that there is no such thing as 100% moksha. You understand? Because there is always room.
I'm sorry, somebody was talking or something in the background, and I couldn't hear exactly what you were saying. So, and that's
Let me, there is somebody here. Okay. Yeah, there was some noise there with Carolyn. So that's why I don't like to put moksha as something like black and white. Moksha is freedom. With self-knowledge, we are free from most of that ignorance that was conditioning our emotions and thought process and words and deeds. So most of it that is canceled. But there are some remainings of ignorance that remains there that sometimes surface. So, and then what Ramji calls self-actualization is when the self-knowledge has gradually canceled the sense of ownership and doership, the ego dissolves, you know, and also it cancels all those vasanas which are not really good vasanas, negative vasanas, or adharmic vasanas, or or rajasic, tamasic. It cancels them or converts them into good vasanas. Because as long as some of those vasanas are there, you know, they surface, and then it makes the yoni behave in a certain way that is not cool. Why you think that most of the gurus, they don't like to show their jivahood? They keep all of that behind the curtains because they don't want to show their immunity. Because as our sampradaya says, all gods have feet of clay. You understand? There is always some time, there is always some ignorance there. So most of the gurus, some of these gurus are so smart that they don't even talk because they may say something inappropriate that's going to damage his image or her image. You understand? So some remain silent, some talks just little blah, 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 blah. They don't like to express any much of anything, much less his or her personal opinions, as opposed to Ramji. Ramji is a big mouth. He expressed everything. He expressed all his political opinions, all his scientific. It don't matter. It can be the most absurd thing, you know, and things that may even, you know, cause division and conflict, and say, oh my God, how can he say this? And how, you know? But he's not afraid, you know. He's a famous guru, and he just has a big mouth, and he say. But most gurus trying to be very careful. Why? Because everybody has a feet of clay and some inappropriate or you know, thing may come out of one's mouth, or one overreaction or something like that, you know. And this is part of being a human being. The young is the one who knows for sure who he is or who she is, and that brings about great freedom. You know, the most important freedom is freedom from that tremendous fear of death. You know you're not the body, therefore that fear is mostly gone, you know, if not totally gone. So it brings about a lot of freedom. But when I say that there is no such a thing as 100% moksha, is because there is always potential for some ignorance still lingering in one's unconscious mind, and from time to time it surfaces. Does it make sense, Claudio? Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. I agree. I like Ramji because of this, because he
Yeah.
is not this perfect
Yeah.
person.
No pretension. So, no pretension.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I also want to ask. Also, the last time I want to ask a question about this topic, and because sometimes I have doubts about how to manage dharma about this, but because when you talk or teach to people, like I sometimes do, you know, with my staffs, or like you do, or Lamji do, you know, there are some moments when also people maybe need some, or you as a teacher need to have a strong, to be strong with the person, with the person
In which
that you
way?
want.
In which way?
Mm, because maybe is the person is like oh, I don't know how to say it. Needs they are like a little bit they are not maybe committed to the teachings, or oh, I don't know how, if I can explain it, but you know,
I understood.
sometimes
I understood. I understood
the
what you
teacher
mean.
must to be strong sometimes. So
Yeah.
how to manage dharma about this? Because we say that dharma has to be not injury. So when the teacher is too strong, can he violate dharma sometimes? How to manage this?
Yeah.
I have no.
So the very notion that the teacher sometimes needs to be strong is a misunderstanding, a misconception, which is, you know, colored with Adamic elements. You know, when we really want to help people, the first thing we need to do is to be very, very gentle and friendly and accept people's limitations. Everybody has a limitation. The teacher is limited by what he can do and say and understand. Everybody is limited according to our to our condition, our mental, emotional, intellectual, you know, states or stage of development. So there is no point of being strong with any student. If you talk in terms of Vedanta teacher does not have any investment on any student. He's just do that out of love, out of compassion, and out of friendship, and respecting everyone's limitation, timing. You know, people come, they hang around for some time, and they go, and it's perfect. If they come back, great, you are back, you are back. You know, so it's just about that. There's no question of being strong. There's no question of trying to do that for the sake of work hard. No. You just respect people the way they do. I mean, sometimes we say so. The scriptures say, unless you are fully committed to this, you know, it's moksha is not possible for you. The scriptures, our script present the qualification, and then here and there the verse they say that, you know, it only works if you are fully dedicated and committed and doing work, you know, every day and thinking about almost all the time. But that has to be said in a way never putting the other down, you know? I mean, I'm very careful with saying anything like that. I always like to say within your limitation, your possibilities, you know, depending on your karma, depending on your stage, because you cannot force something to become, we cannot force anybody to develop mumukshu, you know? Mumukshu, it's something that has grown naturally, you know? Therefore, there's no point to try to to push people to become more intense, more serious, more dedicated, no, there is no point. Everybody is just going their own way, and it's all perfect as it is. You understand? So it's good for you to understand this vision, because this is the vision of Vedanta. Outside of Vedanta, there are people doing all kinds of crazy things. There are people beating up the student. There are people ridiculing their students. Busting their ego and humiliating them, and all for the sake of somehow having power and control over people. So I hope you don't fall for that kind of model, you know.
Of course, not that way is also hard way. I mean, maybe there are some times that some strong action may be needed, and not so strong, of course. So I had some doubt about that. For example, I see you are very gentle with all the people, so you are completely free about that. and I asked me if that is the Vedanta style, and
This is
he
the Vedanta
answered me no.
style. This is the style. Any a true teacher, you know, through
Hmm.
the friend, and it's very gentle and respectful of everyone's stage and limitations and so on. You know, there is no point in trying to push again and again. I could repeat it again and again for you, Claude, until you understand it. We can.
I've seen Ramji correct people, and I've heard him talk about the fact that he kicked somebody out of the satsang. So if people violate dharma in some way, if I would think it has to be from the understanding of the motivation. Is it to protect the parampara or the whatever? Is it to protect the dharma of the satsang? Is it to, but a correction with love because you want to redirect that person for more fulfillment. I've seen Ramji do that beautifully.
Yeah.
Just it's his heart, just
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah, so it's not to say that the teacher should be taking offense or disrespect come from the student, you know. So there is a verse in this Vivekachudamani that we have covered recently that says the teacher is that one who is friendly and compassionate to the students that come to him with a proper attitude. And I often comment that verse say assim, with proper and improper to a certain degree, because I don't kick people away, or if they come with with an improper, because an improper attitude, I have seen people in this Vedanta group, some people they come with nasty attitude, and somehow I suggest the people who hold some other meetings there, no, I say, so just be nice and give space to the guy, and wait to see if he improves. So one guy is he turned around in about a year, and now he's gentle, he's friendly, he's polite. He has learned some manners, and he has learned to appreciate the group. You understand? So, but if somebody comes, like I had some people that came, you know, sometimes as spies, right, playing to be nice, but then behind just criticize and defaming me and so on, in the group and so on. So if people come like that, and then I don't fight with anybody, I don't even want to have an argument, I just block them. I just cut them off. And then they kick and scream in some other platforms, talking even worse things about me because I'm a tyrant. But I don't want to deal. I'm very nice and friendly with people, waiting to see if they can turn around and be respectful and follow the dharma of the group and so on. If they don't, I just cut them off and I let them just be angry somewhere else, you know, complain and so on. So yeah, it's not that the teacher has to take anything, but Claudio was bringing an there is when the student is not performing enough, the teacher should be behind them and trying to push and trying to be hard to say, come on, you can do better, you can do better. This kind of attitude does not have much room in Vedanta circles, you know? Yeah. Of course, Vedanta and Ramji has such a patience with people. And as Lynn said, there were occasions that he had to keep people out, because if people are there just to create trouble, you know, and then you had to even call the cops and say, take this guy because he's a nonsense, you know. You have to do it to protect the group. In the same way in Brazil, sometimes I had to cut people off to protect the group, because the people who are going to attack is going to affect the shroud of the of the group. They are going to start bringing a lot of criticisms, that do not apply, and so on. Just brings people more doubts, and doubt affects the shraddha in the scriptures for most people. And then we just have to cut these people out. When you see that you cannot turn people, when you see that you cannot help people, the best thing is to let them go. Let them go. So we have two more people here. It's Carolyn and Ronald. Okay, so we have two more. Anybody else? Otherwise, we can try to talk about something else. Let me see if I can poke Ronaldo. Ronaldo, Ronaldo is good to ask questions, but he may be shy to ask in English because he's from Brazil. If you have a question, Ronaldo, you can ask in Portuguese language as well, and then I answer in English.
Hoje eu tô... Bom dia, Lindo, tudo bem? Hoje eu tô bem tranquilo, não tenho assim nenhuma pergunta específica para fazer. Eu estava com uma dúvida aqui, uma coisa que eu estava contemplando, né? Aquilo que a gente discutiu, a diferença entre a inteligência e o intelecto. Tá? Eu até postei alguma coisa no grupo ali. Então, eu estava contemplando essa questão do intelecto, essa matéria inerte, né? E através do reflexo, essa inteligência que ele adquire. Então, essa diferença entre a inteligência e o intelecto, até se você pudesse acrescentar alguma coisa a mais, seria interessante.
Okay. So Ronaldo has been working on a subtle distinction between the intellect and wisdom. So he says intelligence. I read it as wisdom. So we have the intellect, and we have this wisdom that is possible as a reflection of consciousness on a purified intellect. The intellect is a reflector, and when this intellect is predominant of sattva guna, we have a reflection that is what? It is wisdom, it is good knowledge. So wisdom is the ability to understand what's going on, Of course, from the standpoint of Vedanta, we need wisdom. We need a good reflection, on a scientific intellect, so that we can understand the scriptures and extract and retain the knowledge in regards to our true nature. So this is the ultimate benefit of having a wisdom, a wise intellect, So we have the intellect, which is a reflector, it's energy, it's matter, it's the most subtle function of our subtle body. The subtle body is subtle, but it is matter. So we have the reflection of consciousness, and then in the subtle intellect, in the sattvic intellect, and then we have wisdom. So this wisdom, the best possible byproduct of this wisdom is the understanding of my true nature as consciousness, the only reality, free, independent consciousness, the only reality. So this is the the ultimate gain of wisdom. So the distinction that Ronaldo has been making is between the intellect and this wisdom that comes out of this intellect. So in fact, this reflection of consciousness on a sattvic intellect produce what we call a wise jiva. A reflection of consciousness on a very tamasic intellect, you understand, produce what? Produce a tamasic jiva, you know? And the reflection of consciousness on a rajasic intellect, you know, it's a mirror-like apparatus. It's fundamentally rajasic. What's it going to produce? A rajasic jiva. So the reflection of consciousness on a sattvic intellect produce a wise jiva. And we need to be wise, sattvic, in order to understand the nature of reality, to understand the nature of the I, of the jiva, understand what's going on in Mithya, because also we live in Mithya, we need to have a good mind, a good, clear, sattvic mind to be able to understand what's going on here, and then we can transact, making the least possible mistakes in this process of stimulus and response, because every time we make mistakes and more mistakes, and then it brings about conflicting karmas, and we have to deal with mental disturbance, and we have to waste energy trying to work karmas and so on. So there is the distinction between a sattvic intellect and wisdom, a wise jiva, is because the wise jiva is a reflection of consciousness on this mirror-like apparatus called sattvic intellect to produce a wise jiva. But the jiva is not always wise. In most cases, it is unwise, meaning to say it's a tamasic or rajasic, predominantly speaking, jiva. Does it cover what you have been contemplating, Ronaldo?
Na realidade, Arlindo, uma das coisas que eu estava contemplando aqui é a questão, né, do intelecto ser matéria inerte, né? Ou seja, o intelecto, na realidade, seria quase como um programa, né? É um programa que porque como matéria inerte, onde você tem o reflexo da consciência, essa matéria, apesar dela ser inerte, ela tem uma inteligência, né? Ela não é consciente.
Ela tem um programa.
É um programa, né?
Então, Ronaldo is bringing another point, another twist to this understanding is that the intellect or the subtle body, as we know, it is made out of inert matter. You know, it's energy, matter. But then he says that there is a certain intelligence there in this intellect, you know. But then I make a distinction to him. There is not real intelligence. There is a program, you know, a well-designed program is there. This is our conditioning, our program. So once consciousness shines in that intellect, in that program, in that subtle body, you know, and then we have the jiva. The jiva, and only the jiva, you know, shares the same nature as Brahman. Only the jiva. The jiva is the reflection, you know. So the wise jiva, this wise jiva, which is a product of consciousness shining on a sattvic intellect, this wise jiva is the jiva with the potential to understand what he has in common with Brahman. What he has in common is consciousness and consciousness alone. So you need to have a very sattvic, intelligent, wise, you know, mind. That, I mean, it's so difficult to find different words to make those subtle distinctions, you know, because the jiva is not the subtle body, it's not the mind, it's not the jiva is the reflection. And this reflection is what it is. What is consciousness? the human consciousness that we have. We know this intelligent, this existence, this sense of existence and conscious intelligent existence, you know, it is something that happens and owns its existence and its consciousness. It owns to what? It owns to the only source of existence, consciousness. You understand? So we have conscious existence, and we have the conscious existence of the wise Jiva, the one who realized that I am conscious existence in my fundamental nature. Therefore, I can say that I have that in common with Brahman. I have that in common with Satchitananda. You understand? With the self. I am the self. That's why we can come back and say, okay, I am the self. I am Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi. You know? So this is really intelligence. The subtle body is energy, matter, that is, it's organic, it's a biologic, and it's programmed. And then the jiva is going to come out of that being rajasic, a tamasic, or wise jiva, depending on the program. That's why we need to feed. We need to feed this intellect with as much knowledge as possible. We gain our programs from all this interaction that we have, transactions with the world, assimilation, receiving data, information, and going through experience and connecting the dots and coming to determinations, conclusions. So the best source of knowledge from the standpoint of producing a wisdom, true wisdom, or the wisdom that frees the jiva, is the knowledge coming from the Vedic culture. It's not scientific knowledge, as we know. We can go for scientific knowledge, and we can develop so much scientific knowledge in our intellect, you know. But then consciousness, when it shines and produces this jiva not necessarily is going to enjoy a sense of freedom, a sense of, you know, limitlessness. No, it's not. He's going to feel still small and limited by what he does not know. So only the knowledge in regards to our true nature is going to put an end to this need to know all other things as a need to resolve this sense of smallness and incompletion. You understand? So the best way to program our subtle body, to program our intellect, Ronald, is with the spiritual knowledge coming, revealed by Ishvara, the scriptures, you know, because it's the knowledge that puts an end to the need for all kinds of other knowledge as a means to bring about this completion, the sense of fullness and satisfaction. Does that make sense to everybody?
Outra coisa interessante, né, Arlindo, que eu estava fazendo uma comparação, a diferença do nosso intelecto para o programa que roda num computador é a consciência, né? Ou seja, é um programa biológico que está rodando ali e que é alimentado por informações desde o nascimento, e aí vai tua programação. Inclusive, como eu mexo com informática, uma coisa interessante, por isso que dizem, né, que nada é novo, é criado. O próprio computador, se você for analisar, você tem os instrumentos externos de recepção, você tem os instrumentos de ação. Então, se você analisar o computador como um todo, você vai ver que ele é uma cópia do jiva, na realidade. Tá? Tem todas as funções similares. A única diferença é que não tem consciência.
Yeah, Ronald is bring, because he is a technician. You're an engineer, Ronald?
Oh, technician.
Yeah, he's a technician on computer programming and so on. So he's drawing a parallel between the jiva and the subtle body of the jiva and a computer, because a computer, it needs to be programmed, but he'll never be conscious. You know, he's apparently intelligent, but it's not consciously intelligent. That's why this whole talk about artificial intelligence and these robots and these machines developing self-awareness and then taking over. No, it's impossible because they are totally inert. Understand? The same way that our subtle body is totally inert, but consciousness shines in this subtle body when it's properly, you know, purified, refined with a lot of more sattva, shines and then produce this intelligence, this clarity, this wisdom, you know. So, but fundamentally, the subtle body is as inert as a computer program, you know, a computer. And he was saying that computers also have the receiving, the sense that receive, the outputs and so on. Here, I don't understand any of that, and I don't want to get into that. And I don't want Ronald to get into that because Ronald talks a lot. Sometimes when he starts, nobody can stop him, right, Ronald? So, but the same thing, Ronald is saying that we, as the three bodies, we are biologic, programmed machines, right, Ronald? The only thing that gives us life is consciousness. And we need to somehow develop a certain program that is going to allow us to become wise jivas so that we understand our true nature as the intelligence, consciousness, knowledge, existence that I share as a jiva, I share as a wise jiva. So only a wise jiva can recognize this fundamental nature as the same nature as Brahman, because this nature of ours is a non-dual. It's not that I have consciousness and then Karen has consciousness, Mark has consciousness. No, there is only one existence consciousness. And it shines in the intellect of all jivas, and to become what? To become jiva. You know? Very nice. Good talk.
Yeah, this is very interesting, but computers don't have the ability. Consciousness gives us the ability to enjoy and to experience. Computers don't actually have, even though they perform actions and are intelligent. This is, I think, the difference between intelligence and consciousness. Yeah, consciousness gives us the ability as jivas to be the enjoyer or to be the experiencer. Whereas computers or electronic devices don't have that ability. They just perform with no knowledge of their experience or enjoyment or whatever.
Yeah, totally. So
Perhaps.
that's a good point, Mark, because we are living in such a crazy time that there is already talks about artificial intelligence and the fact that in 10, 20, 30 years, human beings are going to begin being connected to artificial intelligence so that we can perform better, you understand? So the risk there is that we may destroy our most fundamental, you know, treasure, which is our free will, our ability to choose, you know, even choose to go against Dharma, against ethics, against moral, you know. So this ability to choose, you know, is our free will. And we have to be careful because technology is going so fast that there is already big talk about connecting every human being with artificial intelligence so that we can be more productive. But who gives a damn to be more productive? I want to be wise. I want to be free. You understand? These people, you know, up there in control. So they want everybody to be more productive. But this is not in the best interest, although I have seen some videos with young people from some Scandinavian countries say, yes, so why to be just a biological organic organism, you know? Why not to potentialize that with, you know, artificial intelligence. Yes, I go for it. I want it. You know, I want to be more. I want to know more. You know, very dangerous play. Very dangerous. Yeah. Karen, hi. Caroline keeps entering and
Oh, that's
getting pushed out. Yes, Karen.
I guess I was just going to add in a piece about, well, intuition, and following that felt sense. I guess I mean, you can look at it from all these different perspectives, but as far as, you know, what's right and what's wrong for your particular jiva, and I don't exactly know what I'm trying to
you seem to be trying to find a distinction between wisdom and intuition, intelligence and intuition. Is that what is there?
Yes,
something like that?
yes, something like that.
Yeah.
It's yeah, kind of going along by feeling that which you can't name, perhaps.
Yeah.
But the more
this is a very difficult conversation because we can say that intuition is usually it's very vague and abstract and it's not logic and so on. But sometimes one has to hear those signals. You know, one has to really pay attention to certain signals because a lot of the times we don't have clear data to make up to make our decisions. You know? But we have to be careful because there are a lot of people out there who everything for them is to follow my intuition, to follow my feelings, to follow my heart, you know, and that is a little bit dangerous because the feelings, the heart, you know, the intuition, they often comes, you know, from this aspect of our subtle body, this function of our subtle body, which is our emotional function, you know, how we feel about things. And feeling is good, but it has to be processed by the intellect. Somehow it has to be processed, you know. But sometimes I know that the process, the intellect does not have much data to process anything. It just our heart or our emotional center provides to the intellect somehow a bunch of feelings, sensations, emotion. The intellect has to make some sense of it, you know. So, and that is where to play with intuition is always difficult. You know, I have this intuition and I just go for it. And some people, they do well. I remember Papaji telling stories about that. One of the stories is that he was in the bus and the bus was going a full bus in India, there in northern India. And he had some disciples with him already in those days. And he had this strong vision or intuition because one thing is just intuition, and some people, they may have some psychic, you know, psychic signals or something. He had a vision or perception, an inner perception that there would be a disaster coming. And he stopped the bus, he went down, he took all his people off the bus, and people said, "You are crazy." And then just a little bit down the road, the bus collapsed off a bridge and everybody died. You understand? So what can we make of a story like that, you know? Was this just a feeling? Was this more than a feeling? Was this some psychic power, ability to foresee something just around the corner, you know? So I don't know what to say about intuition, but it's not a good data on to base our decisions on, but yet we need to take in consideration those sensations and feelings. Sometimes we have to go with our gut feeling, as we say, no? I can't make up because it's so difficult to make decisions. Even when we have enough data to make a decision, still, as we know, you know, if I go left, there is upsides and downsides. If I go right, there will be also upsides and downsides. I don't know which side is going to be better, you know, but I know that there will be plus and minus in both options. And then we say, okay, I'm going to go with my gut feeling, you know. My gut feeling telling me, no, I go with this one. So in my personal life, I just don't go much there when I don't have much, you know. I mean, it's impossible to make a proper decision to begin with. Every decision is just a question mark. But I prefer just to make a decision knowing that there is no way I can know for sure if that is the best decision. You understand? Because I don't know. I don't know how things are going to come, you know, in the near future. Anything can happen. So the best thing is to make a decision, running whatsoever data we have through the intellect, taking consideration our gut feelings, but we make a decision knowing that there is no way we can be sure that that is the best decision. It may prove to be the worst possible decision, you know. I mean, we don't have any control. You know, we don't have any control. When we buy a stock, when we sell the stock, you know, what the results, we never know.
Is there an order to the process of, well, I've heard Ramji say that when you have a feeling, it's best to go back and examine the thought that is prior to the feeling that creates the feeling, which is why I don't trust my intuition, because I figure there's a subtle riti there that I'm not comprehending. And I don't know if it's just a programmed response based on a healthy vasana or an unhealthy vasana. And sometimes it's really hard to grab onto that subtle thought to know where it's coming from. So I'm wondering am I taking Ramji correctly in thinking that the thought comes before the feeling?
Yeah, that is a very, very good pointer. Thank you for sharing, you know, because every thought, sensation, feeling, every sensation, feeling, in other words, every thought that appears in our mind, and sometimes it is still in the subconscious mind, but it's already producing a feeling, a sensation in the conscious mind. Okay, you have the thought is not clear, delineated in my conscious mind, but in the subconscious is already produced, you know. So every thought, it's attached to a sensation or a feeling, because as we know, every thought has a different vibration, a different feel to it. You know? So when we are dealing with the emotions, it's a very, very, very good tool to trace the emotion back to the thought or the concept or the notion, you know, behind that, or a group of thoughts, you know, a pattern of thought. It's very good, because then you have what? You have more tangible data to understand what's going on. You understand? That's very nice. Yeah. And that goes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you,
ahead.
Lynn. Yeah, thank you, Lynn. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ramji is very much clear about that. He says that he does not like to think bad thoughts. One time I was in India with him, and then we are talking about some things, and then I start talking about. I like to follow some things in science regarding how bad things are going from the standpoint of Mother Nature and the way we are just digging into and consuming all resources and polluting the air, the ocean, you know. And Ramji hates to talk about that. He said, "Why I'm going to talk about? Don't talk to me about that because it affects my mind. I don't want to have my mind depressed. You know, I like to hold good thoughts. You know, life is beautiful, and he has there's certain wisdom to that. You know, because in general, when we see things, you know, as they are, you know, oh no, the fishes are full of plastic, and you know, the ocean is being destroyed, and the air is bad, and you know, how does those thoughts feel? They feel like, oh man, it's so sad, it's so, you know, and no matter, I mean, how much we may say, oh no, I'm a young, these thoughts do not affect me, but it does always affect a little bit. And Ranjit cuts to the chase and say, no, don't talk about these things because I'm a positive guy and I just like to hold the thought that life is beautiful. Hmm? It's nice.
Can we say that thought and sensation come together, or before comes the thought and after a sensation?
Yeah, it does not matter. As I was putting, sometimes you have a sensation and you don't have the thought because the thought is still subconscious.
But there is a thought.
There is a thought, yeah. It's a little bit more to see
subtle, but
the source of that kind of mental, emotional condition. So in general, they appear and they have a feel and a sensation to it, you know. So you just need. I think it's more accurate to say that the thought originates the emotion than the other way.
Yeah. If there is in the causal body, yes, like you say, that was clarifying. Yeah.
If it is in the subtle body, in the conscious mind, if you have a thought in the conscious mind, and you're gonna feel something, you know. Yeah. So when you go to do therapy, and then you go there, and the therapist asks you, "So how are you feeling today?" And then what? And they say, "Oh, I feel really bad today." So how does it feel when you feel bad right now? Well, when I feel bad right now, I feel sad. Okay, how does it feel when you feel sad right now? So it goes digging until the person begin to understand the thought or the thought pattern behind all these emotions, uncomfortable, negative emotions, you know. So it's the thought is generating emotion, but a lot of people are not aware of the thoughts, and they start with the emotions, and then they take Prozac.
Yeah.
Prozac was from the old days. Nowadays, I mean, I was very young when they came. They brought Prozac into the market.
I only one last thing, Arlindo. Can you suggest me, because I want to start to study the Bhagavad Gita, and can you suggest me a text, or I have to buy it on the Ramji's website, something? Can you suggest me something to start for read something before we start the class after the Vivekachudamani? I want to start now.
So Ramji, Shiny World has an incredible library. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of Bhagavad Gita. I don't know if you can suggest me one of them or.
The most complete work of Ramji on Bhagavad Gita was done a year and a half ago in Carbondale, and
Okay.
and I guess Karen and Lynn has participated, right? Yeah.
Mm.
So it is there in Shiny World is audio and videos, so you can. But nowadays, Ramji has made a deal. That is, you go there and you buy what they call everything. I don't remember how he calls it. You buy that, and it's very reasonable in price, and that gives you access to the entire library of every
Okay.
ever taught by Ramji, video and audio. Okay, and the most complete exposition of Bhagavad Gita done by Ramji was the one in Carbondale a year and a half ago.
Okay. Thank you.
2 years ago.
I just got started reading Dayananda's 9-volume set for the 6-month course.
Yeah.
And I think Ramji uses that as a source text.
Totally. If you
on the
want to
Gita.
go,
It's beautiful.
yeah, if you want to go to the source, let me see if I show you. Oh, it's behind me. You see those yellow books there? Let me show bigger.
Yeah.
You see that? The yellow?
Yes.
Okay, that is my collection of the Gita, the home course, complete study of Gita. So I use that as well. Every time I have doubts about some verse, so I am all the time opening and so on. So it's
Okay.
nowadays you can buy it electronically. So when I bought it years back, it's very heavy. I brought in 2 trips from India here. And nowadays they sell it with a soft cover that is much lighter. But I was told that they sell it electronically as well. And if you go to how can Claudio buy it, Lynn?
From the Research and Publication Trust, you can get the 9 volumes in hardback, but they're like $250.
Yeah.
And you can get Kindle through Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of used book places like Textbooks or Plus or Abe Books or things like that, Alibris, where you can get the volumes separately and purchase them as you go.
Right.
Okay. What the name they have to put for searching it? Dayananda's course, Bhagavad Gita, something like that?
Bhagavad Gita 9
volumes.
Let me show it.
6-month course, you know.
Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So this is
Very beautiful.
This is the volume 1.
Okay.
And it's called Bhagavad Gita Homestead Course, volume 1. And this is all a transcription, added transcription from one of the camps that Dayananda did over many weeks or months. I don't know exactly. But I heard Ramji saying that this homestead course from Bhagavad Gita is a treasure. It's like a secular treasure. It's difficult to find again something like this. I know it's so rare to have a complete study of Gita transcribed like that, beautifully in the style of Dayananda. You know, it's worth having it. Okay, So if you want to take a look again, it's okay.
Home study course.
There are 9 volumes. This is a small one. There are some that are very, very big.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, there is a chat, a message here from Ronaldo that gives us also some other.
Arlindo, acho que eu já mandei até para vocês, Sadness, Penis, Vedanta curso. Ele é bem legal, que é uma coisa bem clara, é bem explicada, e ele mostra todas as sequências, desde o básico até e você vai... É uma alternativa também aí, bem interessante. Eu tenho estudado ele também.
Sim. So there is this, and there is also the, if you like the style of Ramji, so there is this this work, the work of Ramji in Carbondale. At the time he told me, this is going to be my last project. I want to finish my last project. Is going to be Gita, a big book, and it's still going to come as book. The entire, it was almost 3 months. It's going to come as a series of books that, according to him, is going to be his last project, book project. So, and we have it in audio and in videos as well. So if you enjoy Ramji's teaching style. Because when we go into Dayananda, we have to go through some Sanskrit and slowly learning some bases on Sanskrit, which is not so bad, so which is also fun. I have been doing that with Paramarthananda. It took me a while to understand his English and start learning a few Sanskrit words. Anybody else? Shall we close? Mark, any contribution? How was the seeds sprouting beautifully?
I was going back to the intuition that Karen was talking about. It crossed my mind that whichever decision we make in the end isn't really important, because karma's going to play its role anyway. Everything's going to work out karmically. So finally, it doesn't really matter. I'll give an example from my life. I went a few years ago, I went through a period of time where every decision I had to make was terrible. It was like, you do this and you lose, or you do this and you lose. I didn't have any other options. So I got to a point where I stopped making decisions. I said, okay, I'm just going to go with whatever happens, whatever comes my way, I'm going to accept it and do that. And actually, it led me to going to India and meeting Ramji for the first time. So I think, you know, when we do have these really hard decisions, it's like, okay, I'll flick a coin, or I'll, do you know what I mean? I'll flick a coin, heads or tails. If it comes heads, I'll do this. If it comes tails, I'll do that. And it's all okay. Because the karma's going to make the ultimate, karma's going to work out anyway. So that's my contribution to that.
Yeah, no, beautifully, well said. Yeah. So after all, so we still have this free will, this intellect, and this intellect allows us, and we invite to exercise our intellectual faculty to make decisions. But we need to take it easy in knowing that, you know, the best thing is to wait until you get some signals, Vishwara, and then you just move along with your karma, you know. So I'm going through certain decisions that I want to make, and I keep just holding back and waiting. So Vishwara unfolding the karma until I go along with the most obvious thing to do, you know. I had the same conversation with Ramji not long ago when I asked him if he was going to his house or going to Surya Lila. And I said, well, how can I decide, man? So I don't decide anymore. I just leave it all to Ishvara. I say, yes, I understand. I know exactly what you mean. So it comes a point that we just wait until, Ishvara presents us with the most obvious thing, So let's move along with this. Let's move along with that. But that does not mean that we should never exercise our intellectual, but we need to know the limitations, because any decision is going to have some upsides and downsides. That's what I mean when I was saying that, in the end, you do it. And the best thing is never look back. If this, if that, oh, I shouldn't, never. I learned this lesson already years back, and I never look back. I never take the blame, because I know it's impossible to make the right decision, basically, Trust in the Lord.
Não tem como tomar a melhor decisão, né, Arlindo? O nosso intelecto está totalmente limitado por aquilo que nós aprendemos, né? Pelas experiências que Ishvara nos providenciou. E o universo são ilimitadas possibilidades, né? Então, é impossível, por isso que o Karma Yoga é muito legal, ou seja, você executa a tua ação e entrega o resultado do universo. E não é nenhuma questão de devoção, é uma questão de você usar o teu intelecto dentro da própria lógica que o Vedanta te traz, né? São ilimitadas possibilidades, né? Então, não tem como você tomar a decisão certa. Você vai tomar dentro daquilo que você aprendeu, né?
Sim. Yeah, well said. Very good. So, too bad I did not translate, Ronald. Okay, guys. So nice. Good to meet again. If nobody has any other contribution in English, we can close. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my friends. We meet again next Monday, Ishvara willing. Much love.
Thank you, Arlindo.
Love you all.
Bye.
Thank
God bless.
you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye now.
Ciao.
Mhm.